wise of me, wouldn't it? Okay. So I am John Grigsby, and myself and Dory Nolan will be conducting this session. How many of you, and this is the question I've been waiting to ask, how many of you, this is your first time being an area director? Show of hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, great, 6. So can I assume the rest of you have already been an area director? Nope. Jeff's shaking his head because he's not either one, right?
I'm neither one. I just passed finance manager for the district, so I'm here to help you. I'm here to discuss finances later on that everybody may fall asleep on, but
great.
That's what I'm here for.
Great. So I'm assuming that half of us have been an area director before, and half of us, this is the first time you wore this hat, and that is wonderful. I'll tell you, last year I did the area director area 23 for the first time, and having something like this would have been great. We didn't have it last year, so I am glad that you're able to participate in this year's training, and glad they're actually having it. So I am going to share my screen, my PowerPoint. I've got about a 70-page PowerPoint that should take us no more than 3 hours to go through. Are y'all okay with that? All right, so here's the second thing with me. I don't care to talk because I am a Toastmaster, but I'm going to need you to talk with me, all right? So we're going to have a little input from everybody. I am not a formal, I do have a presentation, but I am not a formal, go by this presentation kind of guy. I am a very conversational type of trainer. So if you have questions at any time, feel free to jump in and we'll talk about what we need to talk about. So area director, what in the world? You got all these things you got to do. You got a director report, you got club success, you got budgets, all these things. How in the world are we going to make it all come together? Trust me, there's a lot on the front end, but probably about 2-3 months into it, it will be a whole lot smoother and all these things will start to fall into place. So today we're going to talk about area tracking your area clubs, talk about budgeting, talk about making an area council, and then I'm going to pass it over to Dory and talk about the club visit report and your expectations of successful teams. So that's what we're going to cover today. And we're Q&A. So I feel that Q&A probably would be the most, I don't say the most, but be very beneficial. So you got a question about area director, do not leave here today without asking that question, okay? I see somebody's raised their hand. Jeff's raised his hand.
I just want to ask, are we going to talk about the finance during the budget part, or what are we going to talk about yet?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So right up front there, Jeff, are you going to run over to the division director portion also?
No, I think Christian's going to handle that part of it. Okay. I'm just over here.
Okay, all right. So let's start with area tracking. I made this spreadsheet last year for me personally, and I'll be glad to share it with you after I finish today. But I put a little spreadsheet together that had all the different areas, the clubs in those areas, and more importantly to me, who was the area director. So these were in Division B. I had my division director, I had her phone number, email. This is how I get a hold of Sonia. Who are the division directors, or I'm sorry, the area directors that I would be working with, right? So I got their email, which was last year was Marshall, Vicky, Catherine McConkey, and Joseph Ruckert. So I had all their emails and contacts. And then I had down at the bottom of my sheet all the clubs. What I really needed to know, and I think you need to know, is the president and the VPE. Those are the two most important people in those clubs for you to really have a relationship with. So I made that. I had all that together. The next tab on my Excel spreadsheet was, when did these clubs meet? I am terrible about remembering. All right, terrible about remembering. So I have this little Excel spreadsheet minimized on my computer at all times. So I go through a week like, oh my goodness, it's the second Tuesday. Do I need to be? Oh yeah, I've got 2 clubs that meet today, so I need to be aware of those. And with the online meetings, I was able to attend quite a few of them. Actually went to most of their meetings. So as long as they're meeting online, attend their meetings. But this is, to me, was very, very important of knowing when the clubs met and when I need to be paying attention. I had on my calendar usually, but sometimes I didn't. So this was good for me. And then lastly, for each club, I had a list of all their officers. Most importantly to me, like I say, was the president, VPE. I had their email, and I don't have it on the spreadsheet now, but I do have all their emails and phone numbers on my cell phone. So I knew how to get a hold of them, and I wanted them to know how to get a hold of me as well. And I had their Zoom link, right? The Zoom link stays the same for most clubs. So I didn't have to go back looking through my emails. Say, hey, Will, what's your link for Zoom? I had it all in my spreadsheet. So I highly suggest you use something like this. Maybe you've got another platform that works better for you. Whatever it is, you got to have something to track your clubs and the president and VPE of each one of those clubs. Any thoughts, comments, or improvements to what I've said so far?
I have a question, and this may be something that you know kind of get with the previous area director, but I've got two clubs that don't have their membership list in or the officer list in, and most of them I actually haven't been to. I might know a contact, but is there a way that other folks have had success getting in touch with those?
Well, the previous area director should have requested the officer roles of the incoming officers. They should have did that already, because between now and the end of July, Toastmasters doesn't have their act together, and they won't have, because they got so many clubs doing it one time. They won't have all those contacts available for you. So reach back to the previous area director and see if they have those. If they don't, they at least have the president that was there that last year and reach out to them and get their new officer list. But most likely they should have already had that list. Good question though. And for you next year, do the same thing. About June, say, hey, clubs, send me a list of your new officers, keep it somewhere, and then pass it on to the next incoming area director. All right. Budget. Now we get to what Jeff wants to talk about, right? The budget. And here's the way I understand this. Jeff, you can correct me at any time or jump in here. The way I understand it is the division has so much money in a budget for them to spend on certain things during the year. And I don't know how much money that is, but that's really up to the division, and the division shares that money down to the areas. Would that be correct, Jeff?
It's correct. And Toastmasters International, they kind of dictate how much the budget can be spent on each of the budgeted items. Like on marketing is usually one of those, and education is usually one of those bigger areas that you can spend money with at Toastmasters International, but it is the other areas is sort of limited to the amount of the income of the budget that coming in for the year for the district. So they do limit that, and they have a reserve account. I think for those clubs that are meeting in person or not meeting virtually, I think most clubs are hopefully meeting virtually, but I know you don't have, I think you don't have mileage on there, but mileage for reimbursements, if you had to travel to a club, is 14 cents a mile that you can get reimbursement for or concur. I know most, and then you have awards, which is the area contest awards, and then if you have open houses at your clubs, you can get reimbursed for the food. If you have an open house at a in-person club, for that as well. But I know you're going to also talk about a little bit about concur here in a moment.
Yes, we will. So my advice to that is get with your division director and see what kind of monies you need. We will be, I don't know if it's been announced yet, but my understanding is all of our contests will be online this year. So there'll be no need for TLI training budgets or makeups budget for that. I understand we will have 5 contests this year. Maybe I'm letting the cat out of the bag here. Instead of 4, we're having 5 contests. The Tall Tales contest, I believe, is going to be added. I'm not sure if it's spring or if it's fall when that will happen.
I think it's replacing humor. I think it's replacing the humor cut.
Okay.
So
understood to be fine. Either way, whatever it winds up being, you will need to order your trophies for those as an area. director, you need to order the trophies for your area contests. My suggestion is order the top 2 trophies. In my area, we only had 2 people per contest sometimes only 1. I spent too much. At the club, we get 3 trophies, top 3. But at the area, I don't think there's any need to order any more than 2 trophies. And then order them in the fall. Go ahead and order them at one time. You're saving on shipping. You know what it's going to be. You know what the contest will be in the spring. So go ahead and order those awards and have them ready to go, is my suggestion. Anybody have any different thoughts on ordering awards, contest awards? All right. I've still got one. I actually threw it away the other day. I had an extra one. What do you do with it? All right. Because we only had one contestant in, I think it was I forgot what, it's one of the contests. Only had one.
John,
So,
it's
yes.
sorry to interrupt. I just want to double check when you say go ahead and order them. What are we ordering? Where are we ordering them? Are we ordering like first place and second place with dates on them? Like I wouldn't know anything about ordering and how to do that. Is that all online?
Yes, so what you do is you order, see if I've got one up here. I do not have one in my close proximity. You order like for the table topics. You order the trophy, says first place, area 23 for me, table topics. So you don't put the date on it. You just put you can't put what year it is if you want to. You don't put the name because obviously they'll be printed ahead of time. Just say first place, second place, name of the contest, area, maybe the year if you want to do that. I ordered from crownawards.com if you want to look that up. They have got some great trophies that you can order. In my area, there's 2 areas that are close to me, and we got together and ordered basically the same thing, but you can order whatever you want for your area, and then division will decide what they want to order for that. Looks like Dory's got something to add to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, John. What we did last year is our division director did the ordering, and we all ended up getting the same awards. That way, one, you pay less in shipping. It helps cut on costs for the division and for the area. And then that way things stay kind of orderly. Like your first place winners get a certain award, your second place winners get another award, and then everybody gets certificates. But that way it helps you as area directors, and it helps cut costs.
Now, the only caveat to that is I've got a set of 10 trophies sitting over here for the division director. Then they've got to mail it to each one of the individual winners. So you're putting a burden on the division director, and they may or may not want to do that. But for me, the hardest part was getting a little box to put the little trophy in, because they all come in one big box. Now I've got to get little boxes to send out. Or if you want to, I offered some of my group, I said, let's meet for supper one night. Let's meet down here at the local restaurant, and I'll be glad to give your trophy. Take a picture. Man, we're terrible about taking pictures. We do not take pictures well for Toastmasters, do we? I don't have a picture of my club to put on our social media from the past 3 years, I don't think. So that'd be a great idea. Hey, let's meet for lunch one day, supper, whatever works. I'll give you you don't have to stay and eat. Just come to this restaurant, get your trophy at least, and you can go back home. Work that out with your area or the clubs in your area. All right. Oops, I'm wrong here. Concur. Jeff, did you want to go through Concur? Did you want to share that, or just want to share?
I don't have you have a Concur account, just kind of pull it.
I do.
I do have, I know Toastmasters also has a Concur training webpage I can share in the chat box for a link if someone wants to download that as well.
I'll go ahead and bring mine up here. So can everyone see my Concur? I've logged in. You'll get your own email from Toastmasters. From Toastmasters or from the district that it'll come from?
It should come from the district, well, it may come from Toastmasters but the district has to submit your information, your email address in order
Yeah.
for Toastmasters International to set up the account.
Right.
And usually it's just your membership number at toastmasters.org is the username.
Yes.
Whatever that is. But
Once
if
you get that, go ahead.
go ahead.
I'll say, once you get that, you're logged in. This is what it looks like. This is the interface. You can start a report, real simple to start a report. And then report name. I'm going to mention, like I said, my coffee, right? And then good coffee. That's what my comments will be. Maybe this will be trophies. This could be, whatever you're going to put in there, give you details to it, right? And then
Yes.
this screen here is covering up, or I can click next. There it is. Next. Then the expense type, and you've got some options that they give you here. And what you do is you select from one of these. Let's say it was, what did I say? Coffee. What would that be under? That would be under food. There you go. So I click food. The transaction date is today. The business purpose is I love coffee, first and foremost, but that's not reason, right? It was, I don't know, good coffee. This is not a good example here. Where did I buy it? I bought it in my local IGA. Everything that's red, if I'm not mistaken, has to be filled out.
It has to be filled out.
Yep. So I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. That popped up. Then the amount. How much did I spend? I spent $50 on that good coffee. The reporting code. So here you got club growth, communications. This was for a conference, let's say, right? So I'll select conference for this, and the period. What the heck is the period, Jeff? What would I do with that?
I think it's the current month. I think if you drop down at, I can't, like the period, which is B7, 2107 down there would be the current month.
Okay.
Um,
And then a subsidiary. This was
Division,
a division.
Area director, area
there
63
you
there.
go. Area. All right, then I save it. And then if there's anything that I've did incorrectly or don't have complete, it will show up over here on the side. Oh, it says I need an image of the receipt.
If you don't, you have to attach the receipt.
Yep.
Otherwise you won't get reimbursed.
So to attach a receipt, you just come out here to attach receipt. You'll search for your computer where it's at, upload it, and then that will turn to blue. There'll be nothing yellow or red over here. Then once you're
Sure.
finished with all that, you're ready to submit your report.
The only exception is if you get reimbursed for mileage because you travel to a club for some reason, you have to go out to like Google Maps and print off a map and attach the map instead of the receipt showing the mileage to the club.
Okay. Didn't know that.
And so it'd be instead of $50 there, it'd be 14 cents, whatever the mileage is, back and forth to the. So in your
Gotcha.
comments, you could put down there how many miles you've traveled back and forth to the club at 14 cents a mile. And then you just attach the Google map showing the distance between where you left from and to the club or to the area that you traveled. I will say that, for some reason you bought $500 worth of food for, let's say $550 worth of food for some type of training or some open house for multiple clubs or something. If it's over $500, then you got to get the trails approval. You got to get approval from Christian, Maddie, and also Dean before you can even get reimbursed or spend $500 for the district.
Okay. And to that point too, let's say I did travel and I bought some food, I would have two
Concurs
concurs. So let's
within
say,
that report.
got 25, let's just put a number in here and save it and it shows up as what is this? Yes. So it'll show up as two expenses within this one expense report.
And if you
here's
don't
your-
have, yeah, so I'm just going to give you a warning because you don't have a map attached, I think.
Right.
But I do know that if it's not clear, as past finance manager for the district, I've had to reject and send it back to be corrected. So if you don't, sometimes it happens because the receipt's not there, or it has the wrong amount or the wrong calculation for something on there, or something that Toastmasters doesn't like it upper, because the finance manager will sign off on this. And then it goes to, depending on the amount, then it goes up to the district director for them to approve before it goes on up to TI for their approval to be reimbursed. Once you get assigned a Concur account, the best way to get reimbursed is if you set up a bank account within Concur. Otherwise, it could take weeks for you to get reimbursed by check.
Good point. Good point.
Um,
And I see in the chat that you actually put a link to the Concur training.
Concur
good,
training. I did put a link out there to Concur training that Toastmasters has out there, so that it shows you how to set up the bank account information within Concur as well, for them to send you reimbursements. Because usually if you have a bank account there, and from the time you submit it to the time, it may take maybe 10 days, but or less, but sometimes it takes longer if you want to check.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Stacy put in there that you would get it'll be sent to you automatically. You don't have to request it. It'll be sent to you. Let's see.
Yeah, the district director requests all the IDs. If you don't have one, then you email him and make sure, because I know a couple of years ago when I was finance manager, we had one area director that didn't get set up correctly or something.
Okay.
And or their name was incorrect as well.
All right. Well, that's all. Since you put that good training in there, if you got further questions, I know Jeff is here to help during the year. And like I say, you shouldn't have to do this very often, but it's not that bad of a process once you get your credentials to log in. Anything else, Jeff, before we move on?
I don't have anything else unless somebody has a question about reimbursement or Concur.
Mhm.
I do know that some area directors and division directors, they order the awards from Toastmasters International, or they'll order them some like Crown or something. So you're not, you can order them from anywhere you want to.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
And John, this is
Yes.
Stacy. I'll add one more comment to what Jeff just said. You can order it from Crown if you want, but don't put Toastmasters on it. Don't put the Toastmasters logo on it.
Oh,
Just
good
put the
point.
name of the contest. So it can't be branded with Toastmasters brand if you order it from someplace other than Toastmasters. But it's perfectly okay to order from Crown and just say International Speech Contest, the year, and first place, second place, third place. That's fine.
Can you put the district on there, Stacy, or just have to leave it off?
I think if you just put D63, that would be fine, because that doesn't reference back to Toastmasters.
That's a good point. That Toastmasters is very sticky on you using their name, right?
They are, that's trademarked, so.
So to that point, if you want to, you can go to Toastmasters International and order trophies, but I'll tell you, they're a lot more expensive. They're nice.
Well, and I'll warn, from what I remember, the last time I ordered stuff from them, it took a lot longer than I would have expected to get them. I mean, we ordered some ribbons, and I think it took 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
I have a comment. I've actually gotten a couple of awards. Mine say humor, speech, area, fall, the year, and then it has like second place. I got division D evaluation. This one actually has my name, so they probably ordered it
After the contest.
They ordered it after the contest, but this one here has humorous speech, and it has area, and then it has first or second place. I got this one. They actually probably just bought the placard and have the award. This one I know they ordered after because it's a female, but this one has area 40 evaluation in the contest with the first and second place already listed on the different trophies. So you could probably put the area and the name of the contest that you're doing first or second place in the year.
Okay. All right. Thank
We
you.
have had some areas and divisions who would actually go have it engraved after the contest was over. So they'd order the trophy and then have the plaque put on afterwards. So it just depends on how you want to do it.
Yeah. It's your call as area director. All right. I'd like to talk about something dear to my heart now, about having an area council meeting. Toastmasters International suggests that you have 2 a year. And I say that is not sufficient. Mine, I did last year. I did it once a month. I had a scheduled time and location. It was always on Zoom. We did 30 minutes only. If you ask your presidents and vice presidents to come to a meeting once a month for 30 minutes, I think that's not asking too much. And I told them, I said, I like the president or the VPE or both of you to come. I don't care. Or if you want to take turns, if you'd like to only come every other month, just send one or the other. That way we're communicating with the club, and then they can take that information and pass it along back to their club. What I would do is I send an email reminder out 2 days before the meeting, because we're all busy. We forget about stuff like that. And then the day of, I would send a reminder again with the actual agenda of what we're going to talk about at that meeting. And I am huge on agendas, as we should be in Toastmasters. So we didn't just come just a lollygag. Hey, have you been fishing lately? What have you caught? No, I don't care about you. I'm glad you have grandkids, glad you have kids, but let's talk about what we need to talk about and get on about our business, right? We can form relationships with them at other times, but during the council meeting, let's stick to what we need to talk about. But from that, I'll tell you, I built such a great relationship with my clubs, the presidents and the vice presidents of education. What would I talk about? The agenda covered a few things. First of all, I would talk about the contests that were coming up, the dues that are coming up. There's certain things during the year that has to happen, and the presidents or the clubs need to be reminded. When are those? When is the training date? Start reminding of those things. You'll get Toastmasters news that the clubs don't get their self. So you can take that information and pass that along to them. And then cover and highlight the club performance report. And I thought this was key. And I didn't really start doing it till later in the year, that, clubs need to see in comparison to others, how are they doing? You've only got 1 education award so far, but this other club over here, they've got 8 already, or not 8, you can't get 8, but let's say 4, right? They're getting their points, but we're not. What's going on? They can see by comparing to the other clubs that maybe I'm not doing as well as I should, or maybe they're doing better, or I'm doing great. Just compare that. But putting out the club performance report is something that you can report on, that's quantifiable, right? And then the last thing I would do is I would ask each club, one person from your club, share with us what's going good, what's going bad in your club. Any upcoming plans you have open house. If they tell the other clubs, hey, I'm opening a house, I'll come to your open house and be a part of that, right? And what does your club need help with? Just ask them to answer those 3 questions. And from that, we were able to, I think, form some great relationships between not only myself and the clubs, but between the clubs as well. They chipped in. Hey, we're having an open house. Okay, I'll tell my club, and maybe some of them can come over and be part of it. That kind of stuff. So it was a great time of doing that. Any thoughts before I move on, but more specifically about the club performance report, about having a area council meeting? You won't be sorry you did.
I have a question. Okay.
Yes. Hey, Monica.
Hey, was it a challenge to get your individuals settled on a day and time for the council?
Well, no, I just put it out there, and I went by what I knew that they met, right? And then some of their clubs wound up having their own club office report 30 minutes before or after that we had our area meeting. So that way we did it on Tuesday. So Tuesday, I know I got a club meeting and a area meeting. I just got it all knocked down in one day.
Got it.
So John, where do you get the information on the club reports? Where did you pull that from?
That's a great question. That's what I'm going to cover next here.
Okay, sorry.
No, good question. Great segue. So once you get and you should have it by now, you should have access to Leadership Central on Toastmasters International. You see mine is grayed out right now. District Central is grayed out because I'm not actually an area director this year. I'm back at the club level. But once you get that, you click on District Central, and it'll take you to a page to where you can navigate down to your own area. Okay, so from this level here, I can see my area and all the clubs that were in my area. And it's got some numbers in here, and those numbers look great. I can see that there's some numbers, but I don't really know what they mean at this point. But I can see the club goals that Pellissippi, they had 9 goals. That's presidential. I can see the others had 7, 3, 1, and 1. Right. So that really ranked it pretty quickly. So what if you click on, like if I click on Pellissippi, that would take me down to their own club level. And I would actually show them in the meeting and send it to them, because I don't know if they're printing these off or not. But real quickly, what this shows you is, okay, this club started off with 26 members, and currently they have 22, and this is real-time numbers during the year. The goals to meet, hopefully presidential, you get 9, 5 is distinguished, 7 is select, and 9 is president's distinguished, and they had 9. They showed us here. So where'd they get these points from? If you've never seen this before, I don't want to glaze over it, but if you haven't, I want you to totally understand this. Is so if you've got level 1 wards, the goal is to have 4, and this club got 5, so they got a point. So the black marks over, the black checks over here relate directly to the goals, the number of goals that are met. So this goal of having 4 level 1s was met. Same thing with level 2s. There was 2 required, they got 2. More level 2 awards, which means in essence they had 4, right? And they did. They had 4 level 2s. Level 3s, they were required 2, and they had 3. Level 4, 5, or DTM, you're only required to have 1 to get a point, and they got 1. And if you have another one, you get another point. So they had 3, but you still only get 1 point for that. So education-wise, the club maxed out. New members, they were required to have 4 for the goal, have 4, they got 4, and then 4 new members. So it's a total of 8 during the year, but they only got 3. It needed one more member to get a perfect 10. And Laura Barker, who was the president of this club, was beating her head up because she couldn't get that one more member across the, she started to sign her dog up, but she didn't, because she was so insistent on getting a 10, but she didn't do it. I'm surprised her dog is not a member now. Training, the TLI that we just attended, and there's a makeup coming up here in a few weeks. I'm not sure what it is for your division. If you're required to have 4, they had 6. In the winter time, required to have 4, and they had 5. So they got 1 point by attending both. It's combined. So what you do in the summer and what you do in the winter, you got 1 point. And then lastly is administration. This is the easy point. Good night. If you don't get this point, you need to just quit Toastmasters. Turn your club officer list on time. You get 1 point for that, right? That's easy. And turn your membership dues on time. There's 2 of those. And did you turn your membership dues in on time? If you do both those things, you get 1 point. All right. So I'm going to stop right there. Is this completely new to anybody? Does this make sense? Got any questions on that?
So John, it's not new to me, but because I was a president before Pathways, when you talk about level 1 award, that's going through the first level of Pathways, because I believe there's 5 levels in Pathways, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yep. Yeah. So all those other things, it used to be just a couple of years ago, you had Pathways and the traditional manuals, both of those combined for points, but now it's just Pathways only.
John, with my club, I'm actually the president of the club this year, and I'm feeling a slight bit overwhelmed, but I've got Alicia Garrett with me, who's incredible. So I know she's very helpful to me. When we go through this, is a lot of this information being filled out? Alicia Garrett this year is she has been a past president, but she is our VP of Education. Will she be the one responsible for filling out most of this, or am I?
Actually, this is a reflection of what you've turned into Toastmasters. So if you've turned in everything correctly, if you submitted your education awards, if you submitted your new members, which you do, through Toastmasters, this page gets populated. So this is a reflection of what you did. Yeah, you don't fill this out. Toastmasters has it in there. You say, you know what?
Right.
I could have swore we had 7 level 1s. Well, go talk to your VPE. Be sure they submitted those awards over on the what is the district or the Club Central, as well as on the pathway side. So as VPE, there's 2 places to note that level 1 completion.
Okay.
Sometimes that gets overlooked. Okay.
Okay.
So it's a good heads up for the club too.
So it's Club Central that the VP of Education has to make sure that everything's posted.
Correct. So there's Club Central here and District Central for area directors and division directors. Well, actually on above that, anything district related, you would have here. If you're just a club level, then like for me, this is grayed out for me.
Okay.
Presidents, they would see the Club Central, and they can go get this same report, just this part of it, because they can only see for their club.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So I'm gonna give my little bit of advice and turn it over to Dory. I've got 2 pieces of advice, and you can take these and $1.50 at any gas station close to you. You can get a Coca-Cola. Okay. First one is Zig Ziglar says you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. And if you want to succeed as an area director, help your clubs. If you help your clubs, you will be successful. My second piece of advice is Jesus recorded in Mark 9:35 says, anyone wants to be the first, he must be the last of all and a servant of all. Your role is not to be the leader of the clubs. Actually, your role is to be the servant of the clubs. And if you look at that as your role as being, hey, I'm not here to be in charge. I'm not here to run your club. I'm actually here to be a helper. I want to be your helper. And if you'll do that, you will make your club successful and you will be successful as an area director. And it's a fun job. I actually loved the job last year of being an area director. All right, I'm going to stop and turn it over to Miss Dory.
Okay, and bear with me here. I'm gonna share this. And let's go to present. Club visits and more.
There you go.
As area directors, you have to visit your clubs. Technically, according to Toastmasters, you visit them twice a year. No, I recommend a lot more. This last year, I visited my clubs anywhere from 6 to 10 times. When you go for your club visits, you evaluate the club based on the standards that are listed in the moments of truth. And I have links that I will be posting in a moment for the different things like the moment of the truth. The moment of truth is your first impressions, membership orientations, the fellowship, the variety and the communication, the program planning and the meeting organization, the membership strength, and the achievement of recognition. And that's why you want to go more than just the 2 times, because some clubs don't do the recognitions at every meeting. Sometimes they'll do them once a year, once every 6 months. You want to make sure you're able to try and be there for those. Technically, as an area director, when you put in your club visit report, you have to have 70% of your clubs. So if you have 4 clubs, 3 clubs into the system, the first time is by November 30th. And the second time would be May 31st. I recommend that you visit your clubs anywhere to a few weeks to a couple months before that due date. That way you're able to get it into the system. Here are the links for and I will put this back up, or I can actually send it to you. But the district leadership handbook, which is very helpful. Then there's the moment of truth. the Successful Club Series, Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan, and the Club Leadership Handbook. These are all great resources for an area director. Now, I will need to, when you look at the club visit report, the one that we've had this past year and before, they were, oh my goodness, technically 4 to 6 pages, but they seemed like they were 20 pages. And Dean, you have your hand up. Dean?
I was just going to wait till the end, but I wanted to comment on that of doing the moments of truth is very important for all of the clubs, doing the moments of truth and doing club success plan. If you're planning, half of the clubs that we have are needing a club coach or eligible for a club coach.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want one, make sure that your club does that before they request a club coach. So just wanted to add that. So thank you. Great job.
And the next one with the club visits, the forms, as I was saying, the forms that we've had before now were, like I said, they were 4 to 6 pages, but by the time you got done, you thought they were like 20 pages. And I am going to try and share this screen. When I went in to check out the new club visit reports, I had to do some screenshots because, okay, it's not going to let me. Anyway, I did some screenshots, and when you first go on, it has the area director visit reports, and it shows you the little pie with the current round summary. And you're able to pick your club that you want to send the invite to for the official visit. You no longer have to send that yourself. The computer system will send it for you. You pick the date that you're going and it will shoot it off. Now, when you go into the club visit report, you're going to want to do it while you're there. As of yet, I don't think you can print this off and then fill it out. I think you have to do it as it goes. But it starts off with the meeting observations, and it has a little bar. It has different little spots on it, and the meeting observation, and it asks the assessment of the whole meeting. You know, your first impressions, it goes through the moments of truth, your first impressions, your mentorship orientation, the fellowship variety, and things to that effect. Then it'll ask you to rate them on a star system, star from 1 to 4. And it says, how well did the club exemplify the qualities of first impressions? From that, once you've given that, it will bring up a little box. Say if you give them a 5, it'll bring up a little box that says notes. And it asks you to put a description in there if there's any comments you may have. And it gives you up to 800 characters. So you have your overview, that is the first part. And each section has approximately 4 or 8 sections to it. And I apologize for the background noise. Then there's the meeting observation is the next section. Club experience, club support, club concerns, and then another interview and the final portion of that. They offer this because it's so much better for us when we do this, because it's going to be easier and faster. And you do want to do it while you are visiting the club. That way you can fill it out right then and get it in, and you don't have to worry about it later. We have to remember that we are the liaisons between the club and the district. And to accomplish these roles, you have to depend on your team, and your team is your clubs. You want to remind your club officers, as John brought up, of the TLI trainings, and remind them ahead of time so that gives their officers time to make plans to be there. Don't wait until the last minute, the week before. Give them a couple weeks to a month. That way they can put it on their calendar. Volunteer to help in the club contest, or at least be there as a guest to support them. Attend the club open houses. Each one of them needs that support that you can provide. Be accessible. You don't want to do the work for them, but you do want to be there to support them. And as I said before, you're required to do 2 visits. I suggest many more. And your first visit doesn't need to be your required visit. The first visit, you want that to be your introduction to get to know them. Because for this year, they're an extension of your family. They're an extension of your home club. And you're there to support them as much as you can. And you want to help them to reach the distinguished club, because when they reach that, you reach distinguished area. And you help them to help you. And what did you say, John?
What Zig Ziglar said,
Uh-huh.
if you help enough other people get what they want, you can have
Yes.
everything that you want.
Correct. They, there's so many resources out there that we have as area directors. Not to mention our district leaders, our division leader, the top 3, Dean, Kristen, Monty, Stacy is a fountain of information. And I will give everyone my phone number and my email address in the chat. Copy it down if you have any questions throughout the year at any time. Ask me, I will be very happy to help you. And are there any questions?
Doreen Michael did share a link in the chat for anybody who wants to go look at it to the area director visit report.
Now, is that the new one or the old one?
It looks like the new one.
It does? Okay, good. Because they must have just put, because I was on there last night and I could not find it. But I did screenshots when I went on there and played with it before the end of June, the end of June. I went on there and played with it so that I could see how it worked. And unfortunately, I'm not able to do that screen presentation for the different screenshots that I did, but it is much easier. And any more questions?
Dory, how many times do we have to do an area director report during the year?
Well, technically twice. And as I had on the first slide, you want to have the first one in before the end of November and the second one in before the end of May. I do recommend doing those earlier. And again, even though you technically twice, you want to be there more often, and your first needs to be the introduction. Get to know your club.
I don't have a question, but I have a tip
Okay.
that helped me. One thing I would say for our area directors is reach out to your clubs and actually have them fill out the club success plan and email it to you in advance before you go to your first meeting. That is going to be so crucial for a lot of corporate clubs that was in the area I was with. They didn't have time to meet with me right after. And for me to be able to get that information into Toastmasters International, I reached out, and I also found out that for some clubs that have been around for a long time, but the president or VPE is new, they actually didn't know how to fill that out. They didn't know what goals other members had for the club. So when I asked for the club success plan ahead of time, I actually kind of helped them complete their club success plan, actually, set up a meeting to get those goals, to figure out where they were headed for the year. Those were some of the questions that I did ahead of time. Ask them if they've ever had a contest. Do you know how to run one? And probably set up with the district to have Mentor Mondays was great. We didn't have Mentor Mondays back then. So we actually had a workshop where we taught them how to run a contest, how to fill out the club success plan, different things like that. Some things you could ask ahead of time before you actually come to your meeting. Another thing is be prepared to do induction ceremonies. Look that up. For our club, we always ask our area director to induct our officers, to come and induct new members. We've actually asked our area and division directors to actually give speeches at our open houses, different things like that. So just be ready for those things as well.
Well, and again, with the club success plans, yes, it is good if they can get those to you. Some of them do not get them filled out early enough, but I do still recommend that your first visit is an introduction to you. And while you're there, maybe hang on and ask the president, can you guys get me a copy of the club success plan? That first visit is a connection. You don't want to come off official and, very business-like. You want to be there as their guest, get to know them. Then say, yes, can you please get me a copy of the club success plan? And that way you can work with them to help them become a better club. When it comes to the contest, you want to look over that rule book. I learned so much this year, and I've been a contestant. I've been through every level almost. Well, yeah, every level. And I learned more as an area director than I did as a contestant, because there's rules that as contestants we don't know about. And it's good to go through that. I think I've judged maybe last year 15 contests, 15 plus, because I also judged in other states and other countries. And you want to be the best at any of this that you can, because you want your clubs to succeed. And I definitely recommend going, visiting, getting to know them, and remind them if they have anything coming up, like an open house or speechcraft or anything, remind them to let the district VP of PR know, so that they can put it on the calendar, and let them know a couple months ahead of time. Like, my home club is Harpeth View. Our officers had a meeting last night. We have set dates for open houses, for our club contest. And as VP of PR, I will be notifying the VP PR of district to let them know to get those dates out. You want people to visit. And again, I put my information in there. I will be a lot more help when I don't have a whiny dog behind me. Yes. So any questions, please email me, call me, text me. I am more than happy to help. And it doesn't matter if it's early on or if it's towards the end. Let me know. I'm here to help.
Same here with me. Looks like we've got 24 seconds that we'll be kicked out of this room, back to the main room. So thank you all so much. I enjoyed it.
I just like to say, this is Monica. I just like to say this was very clean, accurate information. This is my second time around, and I'm glad I did this again. Each and every time, it's more and more knowledge. Thank you, facilitators.
Yeah, thank you, Monica.